Hello, this is Diane Dalton continuing with class DBA 115. We're working in Chapter 3 now, where we are actually writing the SQL code instead of using the query by example graphical user interface. So I'm going to work through several of the examples. I'm not going to do every single one. They're a little bit more self-explanatory and they're very similar to the exercises you did in Chapter 2. Alright, I'm going to skip right into example number 2. The first one is list the number, name, balance, and credit limit of all customers in the database. Alright, so again, we're going to start. I've gone to Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. I'm going to start a new query. And now when we're going to do these queries, we're just going to type right into this window. So I'm going to start with my select, which we, by practice, capitalize. And I'm going to select the items that were requested, customer name, ask customer num first, customer name, and balance, where we're selecting these from our customer table. Right? So that's a fairly simple query. Now when I've completed typing it, I can hit the execute and I will see the results. And you can see all of our data is here. Customer number, customer name, and balance. That was example number 2. I'm going to skip to example number 8. You can manage all the rest of these on your own. We're going to list the description, the on-hand value, and warehouse number for all parts that have more than 20 units on hand and that are also located in warehouse number 3. So let's go to SQL Server. We're going to start a new query. Give ourselves a blank line. So what are we looking for? We're looking for the description. Where is that information? It comes from our part table. And what do we want to do? We're looking for 2 conditions. We want it to meet that it's in warehouse equals 3, and we do put that number in quotes, but we also want it to meet another criteria. We want it to have on hand, which is another name for inventory, greater than 20. Alright, so we're looking at that. Warehouse greater equals to 3 and on hand greater than 20. And there's our description and we get that list. Now the next exercise, or the next example, is very similar, except it uses the OR command. Okay, so that means it only has to meet either one of the criteria. So it either has to have more than 20 units on hand or it's located in warehouse 3. Now if we're going to do that, we could go start a new query and type that in again. But I'm going to do a shortcut here. I'm just going to select the AND, right over it, type OR, and I have that query done. And you can see I get more things because when your conditions request either or condition to be met, you tend to get more answers, more results. All right, we're going to go on. This one, list the number, name, and balance for each customer whose balance is between $1,000 and $5,000. This is the compound criteria on the same field. And we did this example using the query by example. So we're going to start again. We're going to use the select. What are we selecting? Our customer num, our customer name, the balance. And as I'm typing this, you can see this is using what's called IntelliSense. And if you've used Visual Studio perhaps in a programming class, you'll see this also. It's starting to recognize my names, so it starts to fill things in as I'm typing. Alright, so right now it's saying I don't know what those are, so it's giving me this red squiggly underline. But as soon as I put in my customer table, now it says, oh, I know what you're talking about. I recognize customer num, customer name, and balance. Those are fields in that table. Right, so let's put in our criteria, where. Now this time we're going to use balance, and we can use this new command between 1,000 and 5,000. Right, so we don't have to write a balance greater than 1,000 and balance less than 5,000. We can use this between, does a shortcut. And we get our results. Now I'm going to do an example using the like command, which is not in the textbook. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and find all of our customers whose customer name has the word season in it. So we're going to use the wildcard to do this. So we're going to do a new query, and again we're going to select. We're going to look at customer name, and that's all we're looking for. Where? Now right now that customer name is unknown, so it's got a red underline. But if we say customer table, now it's recognized. And what are we going to do? We're going to say where, so that's our criteria, and we're going to look customer name like. Okay, so that's a new command. So it says it's going to be similar to, and what we're going to do is we're going to quote this because it's a text value, and we're going to use wildcards. And then we're going to put in the word season because we're trying to match any name that includes the word season. And by putting the wildcard at the beginning and again at the end means season can be anywhere in the name. It doesn't have to be at the beginning and it doesn't have to be at the end. So it could be anywhere in the middle. I'll execute that, and look, we found that 2 of our customers have customer names that include the word season. This concludes the first video on Chapter 3 on writing SQL code.